Gunshots ripped through the night, sharp and merciless, shattering the silence of Pine Lake. My dog, Rusty, yelped, crumpling onto the cabin floor, blood soaking into the old wood I'd hammered with my own hands. Those weren't real cops, they were hired imposters sent by the HOA queen herself, Karen Blackstone. She thought I'd be easy prey, that I'd cave when they pressed hard enough. What she didn't know: I used to be the goddamn police chief of Pine County. Let me take you back 3 months to when this all began. I'd been living quietly tucked away in my cabin by the lake, trying to rebuild a life after my son Ethan was killed. I retired early, tired of politics and backroom deals in law enforcement, and wanted peace. Rusty, my golden retriever, was the last gift Ethan gave me. "Dad, if anything ever happens to me, promise me you'll take care of Rusty," he said the last time he came home. Ethan never made it back. Every day, when I looked at that dog's eyes, I saw my son looking back. Then Karen showed up at my door. Designer coat clipboard clutched like a weapon, that permanent smirk plastered on her face. She introduced herself as chairwoman of the Lakeside Summit HOA, her voice soaked in fake authority. "Mr. Healer, your property has some compliance issues we need to discuss," she said, flanked by 2 men pretending to be official. I invited her in more out of curiosity than courtesy. That's when she laid it out. Crimson Holdings wanted my land for their lakefront resort project. She placed a check on the table, more zeros than I'd ever seen in one place. But I wasn't interested. This cabin wasn't just wood and nails. It was Ethan's memorial, my retreat from a world that already stole enough from me. I slid the check back across the table. That's when Karen's smile cracked just a hair. "Mr. Healer, you don't seem to understand how this community works. We have standards here. We can make life very difficult for those who refuse to comply." It started small. Violation notices claiming my cabin, built 15 years before the HOA even existed, broke arbitrary rules. Then the power cut out always at the worst moments. Water pressure dropped to a trickle. Internet gone. Subtle, steady pressure meant to grind me down. But I'd spent 25 years investigating organized crime. I knew the playbook. Still, the nights grew heavy. Rusty grew restless, growling when HOA patrols rolled by. I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was the stubborn fool here. Maybe selling wasn't cowardice. Maybe it was survival. Maybe Ethan would have wanted me to let go. One night, sitting in the dark with only Rusty's trembling body pressed against my leg, I almost picked up the phone to call Karen. I almost surrendered. But then I remembered Ethan's voice on the radio the night he died, calm but strained, reporting a routine traffic stop gone wrong. My boy never made routine mistakes. Something about it had stunk from day one. And when I found an old surveillance file in my basement, one that tied Karen Blackstone's name to a corruption ring I'd investigated years ago, it clicked. This wasn't about my cabin. This was about covering tracks. My home held files that could bury Crimson Holdings and their backers for good. That was the night I swore I'd never cave. The harassment turned into open intimidation. I spotted a poorly hidden bug in my mailbox. Rusty refused to eat after strangers lingered too close to the house. His instincts were sharper than mine, and they screamed danger. Then came that night. 3:17 a.m. Sharp knocks rattled my door. 6 figures in state trooper uniforms stood outside, led by a man whose eyes twitched with nerves. He held up a warrant, or what was supposed to be one. But to me, it was laughable. The formatting was wrong. The signatures photocopied the jurisdiction listed as Montana instead of Idaho. Amateurs in costume. I kept my voice calm. "Gentlemen, I'll need badge numbers before we proceed." The leader, Morrison, barked back. "Step aside, old man, or you'll be in violation of a federal investigation." His language was wrong, his posture wrong. I'd seen rookies with more credibility. Rusty, usually a storm of barks, went silent. His body trembled, hackles raised as if some old scar in his memory had reopened. And when Morrison stepped closer, Rusty lunged not to attack but to shield me. The shot cracked like lightning. Rusty collapsed, blood pooling beneath his hind leg. I froze, but not from fear, from fury. Cold, focused fury. Morrison, I said, steady as stone, you just shot a civilian's dog during what you claim is a lawful search. That's going to require a hell of a lot of paperwork. His eyes widened when I let my jacket fall open, revealing the badge still clipped to my belt. Pine County Police Chief. Retired, sure, but authority doesn't vanish when crime happens in front of you. His face drained of color. The others shuffled back. They weren't ready for someone who knew the difference between authority and theater. That's when Rusty, bleeding and weak, lifted his head and fixed his eyes on Morrison. A low growl, the kind I hadn't heard in years, rumbled from his throat. Recognition. My gut twisted. Rusty knew him. 3 years ago, Ethan had been killed during that routine stop. Rusty was in the car. Dogs don't forget voices or smells. And now, staring down Morrison, Rusty was reliving it. You were there, weren't you? I said softly, eyes locked on Morrison. You were the one who pulled Ethan over that night? His jaw tightened. His hand twitched toward his weapon. I pressed harder. You murdered my son. The dam broke. Your boy was asking too many questions, Morrison spat. Voice cracking. He wouldn't back off. We handled it. Professionally. I could have ended it right there. But instead, I pulled out my phone, tapped the live stream button, and held it up. Hello, everyone. My name is Raymond Heller, retired police chief of Pine County. I'm currently being held at gunpoint by armed individuals impersonating state troopers. One of them just confessed to murdering my son. The red light blinked on, and with it, Morrison's fate was sealed. Within minutes, viewers piled in. And then Sarah, my daughter, working at DHS, appeared in the chat. Dad, I'm recording everything. We've got federal ears on this. My little girl, my backup halfway across the country, turning the tide with a single message. Panic spread through the imposters. One by one, they edged toward their cars. Morrison stayed sweating bullets, realizing the ground had crumbled beneath him. The chat exploded, strangers demanding justice, veterans recognizing Rusty from therapy programs. Neighbors recalling their own HOA nightmares. The entire country was watching, and Morrison knew it. Federal agents swarmed into the property before dawn. Morrison was dragged out in cuffs, still trying to shout about federal authority. Karen was caught fleeing a safe house hours later, and the puppet master, Augustus Crane, the man behind dozens of HOA fronts across 12 states, was exposed. The resort was never about tourism. It was about silencing evidence, erasing people like Ethan, laundering money through community associations while the world slept. I knelt beside Rusty, his breathing ragged but alive. Morrison's eyes met mine one last time as they hauled him away, hollow and broken. He realized too late that he hadn't just lost his power, he'd handed me the weapon that destroyed him. And that's where it ended. The queen fell, the pawn confessed, and the king was finally unmasked. Power built on fear crumbles the moment you drag it into the light.